Welcome viewers and listeners to Island Vibes, a weekly podcast where we look at things Caribbean, the islands, the people, their culture, politics and way of life. Today we will take a look at West Indies cricket, the West Indies cricket team, and particularly with their performance the past 2 decades in Test cricket. We look back at the glory days and what a once mighty team has now become. So stay tuned. After this short break, we will be right back. Welcome back. With the goal of creating a single independent state, the West Indian Federation, which united 10 Caribbean islands, came to being in 1958. But by 1962, due to internal rivalries, economic disparities, among other reasons, that amalgamation capitulated, with the withdrawal first of Jamaica, who felt then that it was providing a disproportionate share of the federal budget without it having enough political influence. Trinidad and Tobago will soon follow, when then Premier of that island, Dr. Eric Williams, famously declared, and I quote, "1 from 10 lives not." CARIFTA and later CARICOM, which replaced it, were established in 1965 and 1973 respectively. Today, with the military presence in the Caribbean, in a conflict with Venezuela, we have yet another splinter in CARICOM, with Trinidad and Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar this time standing on their own in support of the US. Only one thing have truly reunited us as a region throughout the years, and that is cricket, the West Indies cricket team. For just over 2 decades in both Test and One Day internationals, the West Indies team have dominated the world stage from the mid to the late 1970s to the early 1990s. Playing at home in the West Indies was something special, electrifying at best, whether as a live spectator tuned in on a transistor radio on the farm, or at home, and in the past few years watching on TV. The music, the party, the fans, jubilant all through, owing in awe at the fast-paced deliveries and bounces, the fall of wickets, and the clobbering of the opposition's bowlers by our world-class batsmen. Characters like Grady in the stands entertained the fans for years. All of this was the aura that was the winning ways of the West Indies cricket team. The West Indies dominated Test cricket from the mid-70s, the 80s, and into the early 90s. During these glory days, the West Indies were noted for their 4-man fast bowling attack, backed by some of the best batsmen in the world. The 1980s, under Clive Lloyd as captain, the team set a record of 11 consecutive Test victories, within a streak of 26 Tests undefeated. And in 1984, they inflicted 2 5-0 blackwashes of England. They won an overall 29 Test matches without a defeat from 1980 to 1994, with Australia breaking their unbeaten streak in 1995. Overall, in the 1980s, they had a 60% winning record at home and 48% away. From that era, some of the best players in the world came from the West Indies. 21 of them have been inducted into the ICC Cricket Hall of Fame. From the 70s into the 90s, West Indies didn't just play cricket. They dominated and were led by the formidable captains Clive Lloyd in the mid-70s to mid-80s, followed by Viv Richards, behind openers Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenidge, with batsmen like Alvin Kallicharran, Larry Gomes, Richie Richardson, Carl Hooper filling the middle. And in the latter years of dominance, Brian Lara, Chris Gale, Jimmy Adams, Ram Naresh Sawan, and Shivnarayan Chandapal. These batsmen were sound in technique, prolific scorers, with a mix of flashy and powerful stroke play. Andy Roberts, Michael Holding, Joel Garner, Malcolm Marshall, Ian Bishop, Courtney Walsh, and Curtly Ambrose devastated opposing batting lineups with fiery pace bowling throughout the decades. From 1984 to 1991, under the captaincy of Richards, the team never lost a Test series, winning 27 Test matches, losing only 8. Cricket and the success of the West Indies team was not just a pastime of fun. It was something deeper rooted, part of our soul and culture as West Indies. It was the one thing that people from across the Caribbean archipelago were proud of, the one thing that brought us together in cheer and celebration. But today, the fortune of the West Indies cricket team is different. Sadly, the past 2 decades the performance of the West Indies team is nothing short of embarrassing, and fans are longing for a return to the glory days of West Indies dominance and the version of flamboyant calypso cricket. In matches played since 2000, the West Indies has had a 32% winning record, only higher than Zimbabwe and Bangladesh, two teams that only gained Test status in 1992 and 2000 respectively. Here's a breakdown of the 5-day Test series results the past 20 years against the top cricketing nations in the world, from the year 2000 to current. Against Australia for the Frank Worrell Trophy, the West Indies have lost 10 out of the 11 series played, with one ending in a draw. A stark contrast to the West Indies winning 6-2 or 6-2 out of the 10 for the past 2 decades prior. In that same 20-year period from 2000 against England in 13 Test series matches shared between the Wisden and the Botham-Richards trophies, England has won 9 times, the West Indies 3, with 1 draw. A complete reversal of the previous 2 decades where the West Indies won 8 out of 10. Against South Africa in an even split of home and away tours, the West Indies lost every single Test series. The West Indies have been defeated by India 10 times out of the last 11 Tests, winning only in 2002. They have not won a match in India since 1994 and have not won a Test match against that team at home or abroad since 2002. In their last 17 most recent Test matches, the West Indies have lost 13 games, won 2 and drew 2. Things have gotten so bad that former pace star and now cricket commentator Michael Holding said, and I quote, "I've reached a point where watching this team brings no happiness. If I can't enjoy it, I'd rather not watch." End of quote. With their record of failure, the West Indies have plummeted significantly in the world rankings. Let's take a short break, and when we come right back, we will look at how we've gotten there and how we can move going forward with solutions.
We love the game. Na 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 day. I do it. All the cricket fans out there, this one is for you. Hear this. The whole world of cricket. It takes a breath away from the West Indian man. Many travel around the world to test and enjoy it, or at home on the airways or television. Be it India, Pakistan or Sri Lanka, England, Australia, Zimbabwe, South Africa. We represent and behind.
Welcome back. Brian Lara, former West Indies captain and world-class batsman, some time ago attributed the decline to what he called a cancer within the system, citing issues with the infrastructure, finances, and players' commitment to the longer format of the game. In an excerpt from ESPN Cricinfo, the great Lara also had this to say, and I quote, "We did not have better facilities 30 to 40 years ago and didn't bat on any better practice pitches or anything. We had to do the same thing, the same grind, but the passion was different. The passion to play for West Indies was different." End of quote. South African star all-rounder Jacques Kallis said, "The young players in West Indies are talented, but they need guidance." In December of 2025, he espoused that the talent exists in abundance, noting that while young brilliance is evident, the primary challenge is the lack of experienced mentors to guide these players forward to consistent success in Test cricket. Some think it's an issue of selection. Geoffrey Boycott, cricket legend and one of the most experienced cricket commentators, said, and I quote, "The selectors of the West Indies need a wake-up call. They are ruining the team's legacy." End of quote. Cricket West Indies for years have admitted experience in financial difficulties, and CEO Chris Derring once pointed to the disparity in International Cricket Council's revenue share. Cricket West Indies, which is one of 8 full member nations, receive 4.58% of revenues under the ICC's current distribution model, compared to India's 38.5%. In the past decades, the West Indies have only been successful in the shorter format of the game, the T20 ICC World Cup. T20 championships winning in 2012 and 2016. It is clear that our bowlers have played their parts and have performed well enough. So much so that former Australian fast bowler Glenn Margraf said, and I quote, "West Indies bowling talent is wasted without proper strategies and planning," end of quote. In stark contrast, our batsmen have failed. Their flaws are rooted in the fact that they lack temperamental toughness and the discipline to occupy the crease. The game is in attacking play, not in defending and preserving the wicket. That game clearly tailored for the shortest format of the league, the T20, and the more lucrative IPL and CPL leagues, whose match fees dwarf that of Test cricket. Let's take a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll look at solutions to wrap up today's program. Welcome back. What are the remedies to fixing the chink in the armor? Cricket West Indies in 2026 will shorten its schedule of tournaments amid financial pressures. Some other changes will include getting rid of the Under-17 tournament and merging the women's format, the removal of the combined campuses and colleges, and the West Indies Academy for men's competitions. While tournaments are cut back, an expanded Under-19 event will ensure young talent continues to get exposure. Coming out of consultations with the likes of Clive Lloyd and Brian Lara, Cricket West Indies plans to hire specialist coaches and sports psychologists to implement fitness tracking and a mentorship program. Looking ahead, Cricket West Indies will engage the ICC for financial reform, as well as to CARICOM to push for stronger corporate support from the Caribbean to help West Indies cricket. But most recently, speaking on Mason and Guest, Mr. Daring has proposed that the islands compete as multinational outfits in regional competition. He had this to say, and I quote, "And of course, individual countries are who will play in those tournaments, so it won't necessarily be Leewards and Leewards. It will be St. Vincent, Dominica, Antigua, Barbados, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago competing to qualify now for the bigger prize." He said further, "It's one of the challenges of West Indies cricket in that there's no such country called the West Indies. And so, with West Indies winning, we all feel good, but individual nations and government don't feel like they're getting, I guess, the political goodwill that follows. And therefore, it's more difficult for them to invest in national programs like the Under-13s and Under-15s, where national resources should be deployed in the development of the youngsters, not West Indies cricket resources, but national resources," end of quote. Daring hopes the inherent nationalism that would be attached to these proposals of countries participating in these regional tournaments individually will encourage governments to put more resources into the sport. Let's compare these to what the top teams have done in international cricket. Test cricket's success in South Africa, India, and Australia is deeply rooted in 1. Strong domestic structures and leagues in the longer format of the games. 2. Huge fan base that generates revenue. 3. Media rights and wealthy broadcasters who fund the sport, making Test cricket profitable. 4. Investment in player development in cricket academies. And 5. Adapting to modern demands with resilient teams for the various formats of cricket. Some of Daring's recommendations seem to be in line with that of those at the top of the current world rankings. But cutting back and leaving things to individual islands' governments is not going to suffice, as these administrations are not long-term, and each has its own policy on sports and sports development and how the same is prioritized. It's not something of a shared vision and purpose across the islands. In my view, adaptation is crucial, and even if the relative financial disparity, innovative thinking and wise investments can restore that once treasured Caribbean pride. Let's not reinvent the wheel, but take a page from those now atop the ladder of success in the sport. And let's hope that going forward, glory days of West Indies cricket can be returned. This brings us to the end of today's podcast. So until the next time, have a blessed day.